Hello, welcome to another episode of Profound Experience of Poetry. My name is Lucy Keyshaw, and I am having this series of conversations with people that I want to talk to, just because, why not? Today I'm talking to Kristen, and I'll introduce myself first, I guess. I'm Lucy and I edit Profound Experience, and I did Shabby Doll House as well. And yeah, this is kind of like a bonus part of the Profound Experience of Poetry book club, which meets on Sundays on Zoom, and you can join us if you want to. Yeah, that's all I have to say really for now. So Kristen, would you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Kristen Felicetti. I am a writer and the editor of the Bushwick Review. I have like a day job in tech. I am working on a YA novel, and I currently have a apartment in Rochester, New York. I just moved there from Brooklyn, but I'm like traveling a lot, trying to spend like 50% of my time like being in like different cities.
Yeah, and so you just started a newsletter. Can you talk about that?
Sure, yeah. I mean, this is something that I've been wanting to do for a while, kind of just like digital nomad it a bit. But I just started kind of like, I guess, a blog, or it also functions as a newsletter too, because it's emailed about those like travel experiences for me to write about it in the different places that I'm in. But also, like, I think because it's always been something I've interested in anyway, like a focus on like sort of like literary culture in those different cities too. Like I have like I'm gonna I still or sorry, I did a call for submissions for like some contributor essays for like the first city, that's Philadelphia. So there'll be like guest posts from writing that is not mine, and it's also better because they actually like live in the cities. And then also this is going to come out too. I want to try to do like interviews with somebody in each city who like functions as like a small, who does like a small press or does like a, as like a small publisher. Because I feel like you never really get to, a lot of like authors have interviews, but I don't really see like a lot of small press publisher interviews. And the conceit for that is that we actually meet up in real life, do the interview, and it happens at a like a favorite place of theirs in the city in question. Yeah.
Oh, nice. That's such a good idea. And also it means that you like have a reason to meet people, because that's kind of a hard thing about just going to random places, obviously, is that you don't know anyone.
Yeah, like that's definitely true. I feel like the first city that is Philly, which I do have friends in, which is like a nice way to ease in to start. But yeah, I think it'll get like maybe progressively more weird and obscure or something. And there'll definitely be like cities that I want to go to that I know no one. So you really have to actually kind of like get out of your comfort zone to talk to people or to meet up with people and chat. But yeah, you're right. It's definitely a great way to, yeah, I feel interviews are always good for that. It's like a really way to talk to somebody or meet someone.
And do you have, I, I think you say somewhere in the on the blog like that you mentioned all 50 states. Are you planning on going to all of them?
Yeah, I mean, that's the plan. I don't think I'll like do all those things in all 50 states. I think some I'll just like briefly visit and maybe like write something brief about it or something. Yeah, but that is the plan. I do really want to visit all 50 states at some point in my lifetime. But yeah, it might happen over like a couple of years, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's no rush, I don't think.
Yeah.
But like where are you gonna go, and what do you want to do next?
So like kind of the way that I'm planning it now, I think it's like somewhat maybe like originally misleading. I think people think I was just like heading off on some like massive road trip, which I think will sort of be a thing like maybe later in it now, but kind of right now, the way that I like staying in a place for like, a time that's like longer than a vacation. So like, a couple weeks or something. So I think that's kind of more what I'm doing now. And also kind of just the way that things are now, obviously with like COVID and the Delta variant and everything, like I don't want to plan out this like massive tour or road trip and then have to just like cancel everything. So I think like kind of right now, like it's also nice to come back to this home base in Rochester and kind of reset a little bit. And so I think I'm just going to kind of go places that either just like places I can stay for a little while or kind of already intended to plan travel. Like there's going to be a couple places I'm going to go because I already planned to visit family or friends or something like that. And then, or the next big like call for submissions thing, once again, COVID dependent, is going to be San Francisco because I'm traveling out there for work anyway. So I'm just going to like stay an extra week or two upon that and kind of do this stuff for the blog.
Nice, cool. Yeah, I think, I mean, it's called slow travel, isn't it? When you work and live kind of, and I find, I mean, because I've done this kind of thing too, and you can like, it takes a while to like get into the rhythm of it, I think, and like when you are working every day or most days or whatever, like you can sometimes you plan like I'll go there for a week and like I'll arrive on Saturday and I'll leave the following Saturday, but then obviously like you're busy during the day, like every day between that, and then you're like just spending the days when you're not working traveling to the next place, and like it's exhausting. So you like really need to just, I think, like give yourself a long time, and it's also a lot cheaper to do it like that because you don't have to pay to move locations so frequently. And yeah, like I don't know, I think staying like at least 2 weeks is good, but like even a month or whatever.
Yeah.
But then again, like sometimes you don't want to be in that place when you get there. So
Yeah, there's certain spots I might not want to be in for like a month, but yeah, no, I think like part of that, like I think it's really good to be like sort of transparent about like limitations or something too. And yeah, definitely like I'm working the whole time, so it's like I can only, once again remotely, which is pretty fortunate job position to be in, but yeah, I can only like go out on like the evenings or like weekends to explore, to meet up with people. So it's the same as if I was in a place that I lived, right? And then same with that as well, where like some nights, you're just like tired, so you just don't do anything. It's like you might as well be anywhere or something.
yeah.
But yeah, how did you feel when you were traveling? Because I know you've traveled similarly in mostly like Europe doing that. How long did you stay in like places?
It depends. It depended on the place and like the time of year. Like usually we would, I mean, like often go somewhere for like a month, because if you like stay, if you get like an Airbnb, then you get like a monthly
Good deal.
discount
Yeah.
or whatever. And so we would often go to places like off season. Like we would always be in like, Greece or Croatia or wherever when it's like April or October, and it's like cheaper than, and there's like hardly anyone there and stuff like that. I don't know. And then yeah, and then other times you go faster. Like if some places you can't stay for like a really, like if you're on like a small island somewhere, you don't want to stay there for like a really long time. But then also like you have problems like the Wi-Fi is not very good, and you're like, well, I can't work, so or like I can't work well enough or whatever and stuff like that. So yeah, but just it's like you can't really plan ahead even before COVID, I think. I mean, I've been like
True. Yeah.
I've been like uncharacteristically stationary more so, because I know like a lot of people have like working remotely for the first time now, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
like people are like, oh, I can do this, whereas I've kind of gone the other way more recently. But like I really like it as a lifestyle. Like some people don't, like it doesn't work for them at all. Like they want to be with their friends and family all the time, and not to say that I don't, but like I'm okay without being in like random places. Like just how do you feel about that? Like will you be alone most of the time, or like what?
I think mostly like living alone. There's sometimes when like I feel like if they're also on vacation or something, I want to join too. Some friends or like my partner might join. But like I think for a lot of it will be about being alone, which I think is cool. Also, I think though that the idea of going to different places is kind of that you get to see like certain friends in like bursts. Like I think that's a big motivator too, after not seeing people for so long. Well, I can just go to like Seattle or something and see like a close friend there, and also not have to see her in this like really like condensed like weekend, like the way that you would usually visit someone. Like if I were there for 2 weeks, I could just be like, hey, we could meet up for a beer after work or something.
Yeah. And so what do you think what do you sort of anticipate happening to the writing? Because I mean, do you, yeah, like, so I guess like you work for Substack, can I
Yeah,
and you're doing this on
yeah.
and you're doing this on Substack, and is that related, or is it that just like,
No, it's definitely not related at all. It's like, it's just, I do work there as a support
yeah,
specialist, but it's not
okay,
affiliated with them at all. But I mean,
okay,
for publishing a blog, you know, it just seems silly to use something else. Like I'm so familiar with it. And, you know, I do think it's like a really good platform for writers. It's
yeah,
easy to use. It's really clean. I forgot what the question was.
but it's not like it's not part of your job. It's not like they're like
No, it's
sending you on
not.
a mission.
No, it's not part of my job at all.
Okay, wow. And so um it's, I like that you're like publishing other people on it, like especially because as you mentioned at the beginning, like you have been editing the Bushwick Review for like 10 years or something. Is it 10, 11? I don't know. And now for the first time you've moved out of New York, so I don't know what that means for the Bushwick Review. But what do you like, how do you feel about that, like sort of not graduating but like moving on to a different project and
Yeah.
still working with other people and stuff?
Yeah. Well, I think like, I don't know, like I think the Bushwick Review isn't necessarily like over, even though like we're still doing, like we actually just tabled for it at the poetry festival last month, and that was actually really great to be back out and talking to people. That's what I feel I'm in it for. It's not just making like a print publication that you can read and then go. So I still think that there might still be like another issue one day. And also another thing about this is, as I travel around, one thing I really want to do is visit independent bookstores, just to visit them because I like going. But yeah, it's a possibility to like have them as stockists too. So there's that. I think what's nice about this though is it's still like doing editorial work, but it's like in the same way it's like slow travel. It's like slow editing or something, because you get to like focus on like only like a few at most pieces at a time. Like I actually got like a lot of good pitches for this upcoming like Philly contributor thing. So I might, if I can like budget for it, like choose up to like 3 people, and then it becomes sort of almost like a mini magazine. But yeah, the fact that you can just like kind of focus on editing like 1 or 2 people, 3 at most essays or pieces is really nice, but still work on editing. And also you know, you can pay them too, I can pay them because before there were like 20 to 25 people in an issue, and it was like that just possible with printing. But yeah, that aspect. But then also just I think it's just like a different flex or something, focusing on all these like 20 or 25 people at once versus just a few people at a time.
And is that because you're paying people to write these essays? Is that just you paying them out of your own pocket?
Yeah.
Nice. But, and what made you like think of this as the format for doing that?
Oh, sorry, for like the,
well, I guess like you had the idea to start a blog, and then like the way that you're including people, like how did you?
Yeah, just like I guess like I definitely from the beginning wanted to have people's voices in it that aren't my own. I just don't want it to be all about me anyway. And especially if you're traveling, I think it's kind of like like you can only be telling your story in the place, right? Like, and to pretend you're making some statement about a place is kind of ridiculous. So the idea that you could hear from people that were totally different from me or come from different backgrounds, but actually live in the city is something I always wanted to do. And yeah, I mean, now that just can be able to pay them, I want to do that. It's just something I've always, even like the Bushwick Review, like printing it was just my money or like a combination of mine and Tim's money, but it's just like what I want to do with my extra money, and then also being able to pay, you just get a better quality of stuff if you can pay them too. And I just believe in that overall. I don't want to ask people to do shit for free.
Also it's like a really good way probably to grow the readership of it, because it's like people see it as like an opportunity, so then more people like subscribe and then more people read it, and then like,
definitely
it seems
more people.
Genius.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, I mean it's like because when Profound Experience started, as you probably remember, like it started off being like travel writing in 2019, and then it all changed because there was no travel for ages. But I also like really enjoyed that, like just editing with like, well, I was edit loads of different people, but like releasing like one at a time with pieces, and like I really liked just like working on like one essay with someone for like a few weeks or whatever. It felt like really I don't know, like really collaborative, and and it's for me like one of the best ways to like have a friendship with someone, or like build a friendship with someone. I think like I feel like you'll know all these people so well by the time, and hopefully you'll get to like actually spend time with them in the city, like, or I mean, are you gonna be always in cities or also in like rural environments? Or
I don't know, I think that's like TBD. I'd like to do more rural environments. I think it's sometimes more tricky with like finding a place to stay, especially if you don't know someone. And then like also, the way you mentioned before with like, I've always got to be tied to Wi-Fi, especially in some more rural parts of America, like the internet is just not as available. So I would like that to happen, but I don't know if there's like a situation I'll be able to stay there for like 2 weeks or something. But I definitely do want to see more rural parts of the country too.
And I'm really excited. I don't know like what I don't know what you like. What it'll just be really interesting to see what happens, because like I love this kind of writing, and like especially because I feel like so much travel content online is like so annoying. And just like like especially like on YouTube and stuff, it's like people who are like unbearable and just like pretending that everything's great. And like I don't know, and especially having the like literary culture like element, like that's I everybody should subscribe.
Thank you. I was definitely inspired by like obviously like Profound Experience and sort of your mentality around it, where it's like I don't want to do like really like conventional type travel writing, and sort of an annoyance at some of that and stuff too. Like I definitely like when things are like from more of a, I don't know, like keeping it real, like our personal perspective or something. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, I'm just talking too much because I'm excited. I was just wondering, are you interested in like sort of like different modes of traveling, like I don't know, like walking, for example, for a long distance, or like cycling, or I don't know. I went in a canoe this week.
Well, I don't know. I don't think the canoe might be a bad idea for me, but I actually am interested in doing that. Like, obviously there's flying, but there's also like train. I do want to do this sort of road trip like thing, but that's kind of also a thing in itself, because after living in New York for so long, I don't really know how to drive very well anymore. But I think that's actually like a common thing for a lot of people that, move to somewhere else after that. So that'll be its own thing itself, like relearning how to drive and then doing something like that. And then, yeah, I mean, walking too. I think just doing like long walks in the place that I'm in is already like a thing that I'm really into. But yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to like, there's obviously like sort of a danger involved, but like actually like walking from place to place. I think that's amazing. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess that like the longer you do it and the more experienced you get, and like, yeah, just over time, you'll probably start to have like some weird ideas and like and it'll probably like the kind of writing, like you might start off being very like, I'm just telling you about these things. And then I can imagine after a while, it could become like really experimental. I don't know.
Totally. Yeah, well, the other thing is like just not like planning out something like too far in advance. Like I think that's like how you should approach travel anyway, especially these days. But then also like as like the writing component, like so many of the other things like I feel I've done have been like pretty edited and pretty planned out before releasing them. Like the Bushwick review is a very, like at this point, very polished, super edited, planned out, designed like magazine, and I want it to be that way before it's put out. Or just even like working on a novel or something, like you really like cultivate the voice and edit it really hard. But in some ways that's kind of like hard for me to let go, to just be like, well, I don't know how this is going, I'm going to write something that's a little bit more like less like edit, not, I think it's still edited, but less sort of like pre-planned out, or like has like less of a persona to the voice or something.
Yeah. Do you think that attitude, like that do you feel like a little bit liberated by there having been a pandemic, like that you're just like, oh, I don't care, like I'm just gonna do something that I want to do?
Yeah, a little bit. I think like that's like why I think people get into what, like whether it's self-publishing or like sort of more like blog type stuff anyway. It's because you kind of get like sort of sick of waiting for like some sort of like like approval of like what you're doing, or to get it out there, right? But then also just like you don't have to be like tied to like a form, like thinking about how you have to like pitch an article for this publication or something. And yeah, I think that is true about like the pandemic too, to some extent. Like I think I've talked to like a bunch of people about this, and it's just like, I don't know, you feel posts that like there's so much, like you don't feel as much to like hold up like pretenses, like it's just like, I don't know, just do the thing that you want to do and like put it out there. I don't know, but a little bit of that attitude. I mean, I still want to do things like the more professional or whatever route too, but I think it's nice. I think it's always nice to like switch between projects, whether it's even writing or writing in something else, because it's fun, more fun that way. And it kind of gets you like less obsessed with like whatever your like one project is. Like you're not just focusing on, this one poetry book that you're trying to get out or something. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Like I guess is that like a expression? Like if you want to finish one, I don't even know what, but I know I know what you're saying. Like if you want to finish one thing, then you just start another thing, and then that helps you. But yeah, so you do still want to do, like for example, like you I know you wrote a YA novel, and what is happening? What happened with that?
Oh yeah. So I'm just querying agents about it right now. And that's like, especially if you don't have like, a referral or connection, that's just like a long waiting game, right? Some people it
Yeah.
does very quickly for, but a lot of it is just sending out emails and like waiting on like a response and stuff. And I mean, that's nice too. I'm not just like sitting in my email inbox, like waiting.
No.
And yeah, it's gone like pretty well so far. I've gotten like, for people like some like full manuscript requests, so they have it, or a really really nice personalized full manuscript like rejection from somebody I respect or something. So it's making progress, but that's still just like some waiting on that. So can be like a long waiting game. And I think even more so now, because I think publishing is just moving a bit slower with the pandemic, and rightly so. They're just really overworked and probably don't have the resources.
Yeah. Well, can I read it anyway?
Yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't
Yeah,
say
I'll
that
send
on
it to you.
the. Thank you. And are you like, do you want to write another book? Like, what would you, or are you like, what would you write?
Yeah.
I don't know what you would do.
I do want to do one. I have like an idea for one that I might work on later that I'm just kind of like thinking about, like in the stage where you're thinking about like trying to read things that might inspire it. So yeah, potentially. Um, yeah, I would think so. Though I also can kind of see myself being like, okay, once I've done this thing, then I just never need to do it again. Like I just want to do like something different. But I do think that, yeah, I do have an idea for like another novel that I do want to start. So that's exciting too.
Yeah. Oh, nice. Wow. Okay. Well, it's kind of, I feel like we're kind of similar because we like both just started our own things and like just made them for for like a really long time. But how can you talk about like how the Bushwick review started? I don't know if I really even know.
Yeah, I feel like similarly, where it was like a similarity that I just mentioned, where it's like, yeah, I don't know, like, I don't know, I feel like a lot of, it's like sort of like shortly after college or whatever, and like a lot of people were doing stuff, but they didn't really like have like an end goal as to like why to finish it, right? Like sometimes like lacking that sort of structure of school, and you're not at a place where like probably, the Paris Review is like knocking at your door for your story, or if you're a visual artist, like have a gallery or something to show it. So I think the mentality of that was like the first issue was just like, and hey friends, like if you want to like let's all put our like work together, and at least it'll get seen by this like small audience, and that like gives you a motivation, like a sort of this stuff is due by December, whatever, to finish it. And also like it like the first one was like literally like I didn't even know that you could like take your stuff to like a printing company. Like it was literally just me like standing over like a copier at FedEx, because also like it was like very zine like, because that was like also what I was like into like in high school and college and stuff, like people's zines. So that was like an inspiration from it too. But then obviously that was like the first issue was just like friends and people I've known, but it kind of grew from that. Like I obviously got to know people like yourself that were doing similar things as it continued, and then like had like greater ambitions for it, right? Like it's not just my friends anymore. There are writers that I solicit, or artists that like Tim Benkowski does the design has like solicited because he wants their visual work in there. And then also like we even did like a total open call for submissions, like submittable style too.
Yeah. And do you think that, I mean, how many issues have you done?
8, I think, at this point.
Yeah. And like with every time they like get like more and more beautiful, right? Like you somehow figure out how to like make it look even cooler with every single time.
Thank you. That's really nice of you to say. Yeah, I agree. Though a lot of that credit definitely goes to Tim, because he does the design and makes it look visually so stunning.
Yeah. I mean, like, and definitely it's like, yeah, it's very slick and like professional looking. It's not like photocopied.
Definitely not. It's in full color. It's done by like a printing press, but like we don't even, it's like shipped out and stuff. So
Oh, cool. That's good. Nice. And do you think that you would ever do like something else with the like name, or like I don't know, like would you do like books by like, or some kind of art thing, or I don't know, like do you have other
that's a good
ideas for it?
question. I mean, because like, yeah, sometimes I think about like, is like a print magazine, I don't know, like a printed literary magazine, like even like these days, like relevant to do, or is it what I want to do? And yeah, like I think I've also thought like reading series or something that would be really cool. That's like always been a big part of it for me too. And you've been at some of those, like the parties I think are awesome. And I think a big part of it that makes it exciting for me, and creating like an atmosphere that people enjoy being in, I think. But yeah, putting out a book is something that I've thought about, but like I also remember, like I agree sort of like when you talk to Rochelle, like I don't know if I'd want to do that, because I think I would like it, and especially like the sort of editorial relationship and like exchanging like 100 emails with that writer about just every sort of aspect of their book. I would love that part, but I'd feel such a sense of responsibility towards that writer, like even if they didn't really care as much, like I'd be like so stressed out about like making their book whatever their terms of success is, and yeah, I think it's a big responsibility. So I don't know if I'd want to do that, but I think it's a cool and project idea, but to release it, I think I feel like a lot of pressure to do that for the writer in like a way that worked.
Funny, like that seems to be how everyone feels.
Yeah. How
Like,
do you feel? Would you put out a book like under like, I don't know, any profound or shabby or I don't know, yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I don't know how. But I like the idea of it. Um, yeah. I mean, it feels like, uh, to me, it feels like, okay, I've been doing this stuff for like 10 years or something, and I like think I'm quite good at it, and I like feel that I can do more. And so like probably like what else can you do? Like
Yeah.
what, like that's kind of like the logical next step probably, right? But like yeah, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of weight to it, which I would uh just want to remove, I suppose. Like yeah, like everyone's scared about it, and I don't really know why, but I don't know, like I feel like we need to just sort of, not we, me and you, but like as a like I don't know if books are that big of a deal. Like
Yeah, no, it's true.
to relax, everyone. Like it's fine. It's
True.
not. I feel like in different art forms, like people just like do a show. It's just like up for a few weeks, then it goes down, and then those things are sold, and like that. Or like if you're like in a band, you just like put out a record. It's, I
I
don't know,
guess
like
so. I don't know. I guess like I just feel that I guess everybody feels different, but like, especially if it's a book, especially if it's like your first book,
hmm,
it might be very important to you for whatever reason, not necessarily like you feel it's going to want it to sell a million copies, but yeah, it's holding something different than if it's just like a poem that I have in the Bushwick Review or something. Like, I don't think anyone has any expectations, like in terms of how that,
yeah.
yeah, but I don't know. It is interesting because I also talked so for the Philly like interview with a small press person, I met up with Benjamin DeVos, who does Apocalypse Party, and we talked about that a little bit. And I think he actually has a really good like approach to that in the books that he puts out. Like he sort of like kind of talks to the author first. I think from what I understand, just rephrasing things here, like, and sort of sets expectations, like
Hmm.
in terms of how things are going to go, and like sort of the things that you can do for like the book and stuff. And I think that actually might be like a really good way to go for it. So that way, like you're kind of clear about um like the journey for the book from the start or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously, I would want anybody I worked with on anything to like feel good about the
Yeah.
experience and to like feel that they were being respected and taken seriously and everything. But yeah, like I don't know, like sometimes I think that we all just like create our own like barriers or something because we're just like scared of doing things. But like certain things more than others. Like, why do we think, oh, we can start a magazine, that's chill? But we're like, oh, publish a book. Like, it's the same thing. I don't know. Um, yeah. Yeah, but it totally depends on the book as well. Like, I guess like over the course of your lifetime, like you might you might write multiple books, and some of them are going to be more important to you than others, but then that is different for whoever reads them as well. Like, I don't know, but I feel like you should do a Bushwick review Nomadic issue, like of all the stuff that you're collecting. Eventually, you can just do like an on the road kind of issue.
Yeah, I mean, that would be nice actually. And especially it could be potentially really nicely designed and like a sort of thinking about like a map or something. Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. I mean, you already like have, and then you could like go do readings in different cities. Like you already have like all the tools in place to like put that kind of thing together. It would be, yeah, I would like to see that.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just also nice to meet or to be aware of, even if I'm not meeting up with them IRL, like writers in different cities, like just like meant to be aware of them. It's really exciting.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah,
And do you
I feel like everything I do is just like in service of supporting writers, like my free time, but also like even my day job is to some extent like supporting writers, the people that write in, like for support, they're writers too. And yeah.
And why do you think that's important, or why is that what you choose to do?
I don't know. I actually don't know the answer. Just like it's something that, like, I don't know, it's just always been part of who I am from the beginning. Like I feel like I'm always just like encouraging other people's like creativity and stuff. I didn't even realize, to me, that like some people are a lot more like reticent about that. Like they're a lot more shy about like sharing their poetry or even like writing poetry. Like they just like have like imposter syndrome or feel that it's just not something that they as a person is worthwhile to do. So it's a nice way, I feel, that I can support or like boost other people to sort of draw that out. And I really do believe in it. Like, even if it's like, you know, obviously not every sort of work is going to like, I'm gonna like necessarily like, but I do just, I'm very excited that when people like put themselves out there and carve out that space in their life to do that. I feel it's important.
Did you find people that you to make things in the Bushwick Review that like don't normally do that kind of thing?
I think so, definitely. Like there's some people that like I feel you know, their stuff is really good, and it's kind of because they're sort of not usually like thinking about like writing or like the writing world. And yeah, there's definitely people in there that like I've known more just from like IRL that would probably not identify as writers or whatever, but they like, I feel I've or be part of it.
And what about for you? Are you like always interested in this kind of thing, or like when did you realize that about yourself?
Yeah, I think I've always kind of been that. Like even when I was like really little, like you know, like I had like this like Peter Pan book or something, and I would just like copy it, like the drawings and the writing. I was like, I'm making a book, you know, typical. But yeah, or just always writing like stories and stuff is like a really young age. So I don't think you necessarily have like being a publisher of a magazine type goals, but you're always like being interested in like writing. But you also don't, when you're really young, I don't think you also know that there are other people like out there, especially, you know, like not having the internet or something until you're like a teenager or something. Yeah.
Yeah. And was it always like writing for you, or was it like other kinds of art? Or I mean, I haven't even mentioned your photography.
Yeah, I mean, there's other art that I've liked too. I think like as a kid, I used to like draw a lot, and yeah, obviously photography is other interest. Or it's like a teenager, I really wanted to be like an actor or something. I don't know. I would not
Really?
I would really not want to be that now, but I was really into the idea as a teenager. But I think that kind of comes from like writing or like embodying a character too. I think there's a lot of theater kids that have uh become writers. There's like a pipeline or something.
Really?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that are like theater kids now are writers. Um, uh, and yeah, I don't know. So yeah, I mean, like writing's always been like, I don't know, almost the main one, or just like things that have like a narrative element, I guess, if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't know any theatre kids to writers, but everybody I know is like emo kid to write.
Emo kid? Yeah, yeah. I think that's similar because what about like music or something? Like you did
Yeah.
music and stuff as like as a younger Lucy, and that's like
Mhm.
performing and stuff too. So
Yeah, yeah. And when you were a child, this is kind of a weird question, but when you were a child, like when you were drawing, like what did you draw?
I don't know, like I'm trying to think actually, like just like copying other pictures or like just like I don't know, people I liked in like TV shows or something, like things like that. Yeah. Nothing really cool, to be honest.
I always used to just draw like rows of people, and then I would just like draw their clothes and like and like just think about what their clothes would be like. Like that was the only thing I drew. I don't know.
Rows of people. What do you say? What did you say? They were rows of people and they like paper dolls or something, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of. Yeah. I don't know why. um wow, okay. Well, that's not really relevant to anything. It's just I became curious about it for a few seconds.
No, I gotta say, as a kid, the stuff that I wrote is what much more deeply plotted than what I write now. I should have taken a lesson from that.
Wow. And like, did you actually write full books? Like you said you were making books?
Yeah, I mean, like definitely as like um I don't know, like I guess like almost a teenager or something. Yeah, it was definitely like I was like writing a novel or something. I don't think I like finished it to like a novel's length or something. But you know, like it would be like I'm starting out like writing like chapter 1, chapter 2, and things like that, and with the
And did,
intention of it, the pace being like a novel. Yeah.
and did you like share it with people?
No, never. Because it was like I didn't share with like my parents or friends or anything. But I think also weirdly enough, it didn't really matter to me then at that time. Like I was just like enjoying the idea of like imagining these people or like writing this story. Yeah.
And did anybody even know that you're doing it?
Yeah, I guess so. Cause it's just like you just see me like writing like a loose leaf notebook or something. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
Wow.
They didn't seem like super interested in the fact. It's just fun.
Yeah. And so maybe we should talk about our shared um this I don't know how to describe it. Our shared distance from poetry.
Yeah. I feel it's been chronicled in like profound experience itself.
Yeah, yeah. But I have I have recently, well, about a year ago, as you know, started a poetry book club. So I've gone a little bit off course in terms of my what I thought was my own personal trajectory. Now I like have read a lot more poetry than not normal, and I'm like maybe coming to terms with it as as an art form, or I'm like starting to appreciate it more. How do you feel about poetry at the moment?
This is you know, a big I think so. I think it's like kind of a joke or something, an inside joke between us, but I think like there's like a lot of poetry I love, like you know, like
Yeah.
Sarah Jean Alexander's poetry. It's like the best writing of all genres that I love, like you know, it's I think there's just like for certain poetry like that needs to like sort of click in my brain. It sort of needs to be sort of a bit like more conversational or like based on like just having like lines, like when it's like sort of super experimental or abstract, it's like kind of hard for me to just get, honestly. But that's just me. Like I'm just like I sometimes like for somebody who reads a lot, I think I'm sometimes not like the greatest reader. Like even like lyrical prose books where they just go on and on about like the description, like I'll just like skip that whole paragraph because I can't visualize any of it really, like, so I'll just like go to the dialogue or like the thing that's like the voice. So I mean that's similar. It's just like it's hard for me to absorb, but there's certain types of poetry that I really do like and respond to. But yeah, I don't know, how do you feel? Obviously you have spent a lot of time with poetry in the poetry book club. Do you feel that getting exposed to stuff that you maybe wouldn't have just chose to read, but other people in the book club have read, has like kind of altered your approach or sorry, like thinking to it?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, well, you'd hope so, right? Like, no, yeah, for sure. I mean, I think that probably our like what we're actually talking about is that neither of us write poetry, right? Like that's which is different to how we
Yeah.
feel about reading it.
Well, I thought you
But
did write poetry like in the really like sort of the early Shabby Doll. Am I
yeah,
not?
I like wrote a few poems, but like they're all just like stories. I don't know. Like no, I mean, because I used to write songs, like that was like the first thing that I would like that I like seriously wrote. Well, no, I don't know if that's true or not, but that was what I did, which is kind of the same as writing a poem. But with a poem, you can kind of be a little bit more free, maybe. No, I mean, I'm not. I have written them, but I haven't done it for a long time, like probably 7 or 8 years or something. And I just like, I don't know. But no, I mean, like, I don't know if I should have brought this up.
No, it's yeah, like I don't even, yeah, I don't even know what we're talking about. But speaking of which, you know, I am going to join the poetry club for the upcoming one because, you know, I mean, it's prose, so it's fine. Kristen has been ghosting this poetry club for the whole time because, you know, clearly she just doesn't get poetry. But I'm finally joining for the prose one. But no, the other thing I really like about poetry though is it kind of can be anything, which I think is very cool. Like there's definitely things that I read recently that, yeah, it's just like, I don't know, that's more prose to me, like even though this was like marketed as a poetry book or something, it feels like, but who cares? There's no boundaries as to what it can be, and that does feel really exciting to me.
Yeah. I think that a lot of the books that we have read in the poetry book club, like the ones that I've like found the most exciting are like the ones that do kind of like experiment with like those like longer prose, just like longer pieces of prose, like Natalie Diaz's post-colonial love poem has like some poems that like you're like, wow, this is an amazing poem, and then I just think actually this is like kind of an essay.
Yeah.
But like but it's an essay that like where you can do whatever you want, which is great. And then like we read like Autobiography of Red by Anne Carson, which is like a novel in verse.
Yeah.
And like why that just makes me think that you can be more free with a novel, like you don't have to, you know. So yeah, in a way I would think that I would like to take some of those things that I've what is the word, absorbed from reading all of this poetry and bring it into like the prose that I write, rather than trying to just like straight up write poetry, you know.
That's well said. I feel the same way. Yeah, because it does make you expand the fact that like a novel can also be anything, right? Like it doesn't have to be what I was talking about when I was like younger. It's like chapter 1, chapter 2. It can take on like any form and absorb so many different genres, for lack of a better word. So
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel like this is another thing similar to how books don't need to be that big of a deal, but genre also doesn't need to be a big deal. Like we should just be able to do, like, if we can live through a pandemic, we can write any kind of book we want. Like
We can write any kind of book we want, and we can publish someone else's book without being so anxious about it or this
right,
great sense of ability.
right, exactly. Like, I think that, I mean, I would like to think that there will be like uh, I mean, that everybody has a lot of energy and that like exciting things could happen now because I don't know, we've been doing this for so long, we're still here, we're still doing it. Like, we're obviously not going to continue doing exactly what we were doing before.
Yeah,
So like it should be like uh dynamic and like new. Everything should like we should just do what we want.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. One thing I've always admired about like the stuff that you do is like you'll kind of just end something if it just feels like the time to end it, you know, like it doesn't have to just go on because whatever reason or and it always feels like the right time. But then it also is like everything is still just one part of one big larger project. Like whatever you end up doing next is still like a continuation of almost the next thing, but it's just like taking a different form.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean like well yeah, I like I like to think like that I'm just like making my lifetime body of work.
Exactly.
um yeah, and that the like it can include many different types of things. um yeah, would you like to read something from Nomadic so that people can kind of get an idea of
Yeah,
what it is that you're doing?
sounds good. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'll do that. Will, I'll read. This is, I hear it's a fan favorite, so I'll read it. It's Good Old Neon, Philadelphia, PA, because I use all the locations as like the subhead. After arriving in Philadelphia, I struggled with a wave of depression for the first couple days. It makes me nervous writing that, especially in such an early post. That's not the tone I expected to roll out of the gates with. Why wasn't I exhilarated, a blazing Lone Ranger ready for adventure? And I felt guilty too. I'm in a fortunate position to travel with a job that allows me to work remotely. It's something others in different circumstances would love to do. So I debated even mentioning this, but I figured I'd go for it in case anyone has felt similarly. Your mental and physical health does not always cooperate with your travel plans, event plans, or life plans, and it can be frustrating. You can arrive to a new destination with a flurry of ambitious intentions, only to spend the night holds in an Airbnb in front of HBO Max. It wasn't until a few days later, walking back from my friend's house in South Philly, that I felt more centered. It was late Sunday evening and places were winding down. The summer heat was finally suppressed. I passed the touristy intersection of Passyunk Avenue and South 9th Street, where Geno's and Pat's face off. While other places were closing, 24-hour Geno Steaks was still buzzing, crowded but in a pleasing way. As I walked by diners sitting on orange benches under white lights, it didn't feel lonely, not the way it does to walk past mid-Sunday brunch groups when you're by yourself without plans. And although I hate fluorescent lights in indoor offices at night outside, I think they're beautiful. They're also one of my favorite things to photograph. Standing under and near them has a calming, soothing effect on me. And this whole section of Philly is like that, full of neon treasures. It's cheesesteak Times Square, as my friend Alex called it. And later in the week, two other local pals, Zach and Ashley, took me to the Electric Street Alley. Oh, good old neon. I grabbed an Italian ice at Rita's, and the guys at the counter agreed I had picked the best flavor, Swedish fish. And then I kept walking for 40 minutes back to where I was staying. I didn't even listen to music or look at my phone. Yes, I thought, walking around at night when the city is a little sleepy, that's when I'm in my element.
Wow, so cool. Thank you so much for reading. And how can people subscribe if they didn't already?
Yeah, so you can just go to nomadic.substack.com, and I think you'll be prompted to enter your email to subscribe.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so it's like right at the beginning of this new project, so everyone should sign up and like follow along and maybe even write something because maybe Kristen will be in your town. Who knows? All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with me about all these various things.
Thanks so much, Lucy. This is really fun. It's always good to talk.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.